$12 million in debt. This poker superstar who went from 7-figure wins to rehab clinics and bankruptcy court. He played on the biggest stages and lived like a king. So how does someone like that end up pleading for financial mercy, estranged from the poker world and haunted by bets he couldn't stop making? Erick Lindgren's story looked like a dream, but as we all know, dreams have a nasty habit of turning into nightmares. Born on August 11, 1976 in Bernie, California, Lindgren was the definition of a small-town athlete. Captain of his high school football and basketball teams, he had the competitive fire early. He didn't just like to win, he needed it. But the road that would eventually lead to multi-million-dollar poker pots didn't start under bright lights or on televised tables. It started with a blackjack table at Casino San Pablo, where Lindgren worked as a dealer. That's where he first sat in on poker games, not to play, but to keep the games going as a prop player. And that's where it happened. The bug, the obsession, the point of no return. He learned Texas Hold'em fast, too fast. He dropped out of college and never looked back, choosing cards over a diploma, variance over a steady paycheck. He didn't even tell his parents at first. He just played. Every waking hour, online, live, cash games, tournaments, it didn't matter. He was chasing something, and he was good at it. By 2002, he made the move to Las Vegas. Not as a tourist, not as a degenerate, as a competitor. He was ready to run with the wolves. That December, Lindgren shocked the poker world by winning the Bellagio 5 Diamond World Poker Classic. He followed it up the next year with another title at the Ultimate Poker Classic. He wasn't just a fluke, he was the real deal. Young, talented, focused, and winning. By 2005, he was unstoppable. Final tables in Atlantic City, TV appearances, a deep run in the professional poker tour. He was making 6 figures, sometimes 7, and barely breaking a sweat. And unlike some of the quieter pros, Erick had charisma. He was likable, smooth talking, always smiling. He wasn't just a threat at the table, he was a fan favorite. But here's the thing about poker success, especially in the boom years, it doesn't teach restraint. It teaches you that you're always right, that every instinct is gold, that when you feel like taking a shot, you take it. And that's exactly what Lindgren did, over and over and over. But success in poker is a double-edged sword, and while Lindgren was racking up bracelets and titles, another game was starting to take control, one he wouldn't win. By the mid-2000s, Erick Lindgren was crushing. The poker boom was exploding, televised tournaments were turning grinders into celebrities, and Full Tilt Poker had assembled a roster of elite players to represent the brand. Lindgren made the cut. He joined a lineup featuring Phil Ivey, Howard Lederer, and Chris Ferguson. He was on magazine covers, in commercials, and backed by one of the biggest sites in the game, and the results kept pouring in. In 2008, Lindgren had a career-defining year. He finally won his first World Series of Poker bracelet, conquering the mixed hold'em event for nearly $375,000. But that was just the beginning. That summer, Lindgren cashed 12 times at the World Series. He final tabled the prestigious $50,000 horse championship, finishing third. Across 5 events, he cracked the top 5. His run was so dominant that he was named World Series Player of the Year. He was one of the best, a fan favorite, a high-stakes killer with charm, table presence, and now a gold bracelet. But that winning streak came with something else. Confidence. Dangerous, unchecked confidence. Lindgren was betting everywhere. Fantasy sports, side action, private prop bets. His appetite for risk went beyond the felt. He booked massive bets on fantasy football, some as high as 6 figures. He bet on entire leagues, and with the poker winnings rolling in, it felt sustainable. In 2013, Lindgren had another huge year. He finished second at the World Poker Tour Championship, earning over $650,000. That same summer, he won his second World Series bracelet in the $5,000 no-limit hold'em 6-handed event. More than $1 million in earnings, a comeback story on paper. But the numbers didn't tell the full story, because behind those 7-figure scores were 8-figure debts. Lindgren wasn't just gambling with his bankroll anymore, he was borrowing, re-upping. The money that was supposed to represent stability was fueling the collapse. By the time poker fans were celebrating Erick Lindgren's comeback in 2013, the foundation beneath his success had already crumbled. But instead of slowing down, he kept betting. Instead of facing the damage, he doubled down. Whispers turned into forum posts. Players on 2+2 publicly outed him. The headlines started appearing. Lindgren owes everyone money. Some pros stayed silent. Others demanded repayment, the number being tossed around, somewhere between $10 and $12 million. Full Tilt Poker, the company that once paid him handsomely to represent the brand, had reportedly loaned him over $4 million and never saw most of it back. The poker world, once full of admiration, now watched with suspicion. And it didn't stop there. To stay afloat, Lindgren took private loans, one after another. He'd pay one person by borrowing from another. A cycle of debt that spiraled faster than he could control. And the scariest part, he still believed he could win his way out. He played more, traveled more, chased bigger tournaments. But even 7 figures in earnings couldn't put a dent in the hole he had dug. One interview said it all. "I built quite a hole," he admitted, "but I feel good about things." It was optimism, or denial, maybe both. But the truth was clear. Erick Lindgren had become the cautionary tale no one expected. A champion with 2 World Series bracelets and millions in winnings, now begging for time, dodging creditors, and barely holding on. Poker, the game he once dominated, had become a lifeline, not to thrive, but to survive. He thought one more score could fix everything, but what came next wasn't a miracle, it was rock bottom. By late 2012, Erick Lindgren wasn't chasing bracelets anymore. He was trying to outrun collapse. His debts had overwhelmed him. His reputation was in shambles. Friends he'd known for years now saw him as unreliable, even dishonest. And worse, his addiction hadn't loosened its grip. Even as the walls closed in, Lindgren kept gambling, trying to win back everything he'd lost. In March of 2012, the weight became unbearable. He was missing payments. The interest on private loans was snowballing. Full Tilt Poker was gone. The game had changed, and Lindgren wasn't built for the new version. He checked into a rehabilitation clinic later that year. It wasn't a PR move. It wasn't a court order. It was a man finally recognizing that he was out of control, that if something didn't change, everything would be lost. Inside the clinic, Lindgren had to confront what poker never made him do. Slow down, think, admit that the thing he loved, the competition, the risk, the rush, was killing him. He told doctors he had no ability to separate his gambling from his real life, that when he lost, he'd chase, that when he won, he'd chase harder. The same skills that made him a brilliant poker player, the instinct, the confidence, the aggression, made him a disaster anywhere else. The doctors gave him a plan: set boundaries, accept losses, separate poker from reckless gambling. But that was easier said than done. Even in rehab, Lindgren was already trying to negotiate, already searching for ways to justify getting back in action. He told reporters later, "I don't want to stop my profession, I just want to get better at it, I want to stay in full control." But control was never the problem, believing he had it, that was. In 2015, Lindgren filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. His total debt, over $10 million. His marriage to fellow poker pro Erica Schoenberg had ended the year before. The fairy tale was over, and for the first time, so was the illusion. Erick Lindgren had become living proof that even the best can lose everything. The $10 million in debt was more than a number. It was a trail of burned bridges, unpaid loans, broken friendships, and promises he couldn't keep. He admitted that he couldn't even manage his daily expenses, rent, groceries, basics. The man who once earned over $1 million in a single year was now struggling to pay for lunch. His marriage had collapsed. His reputation was beyond repair. Even after rehab, Lindgren confessed it was impossibly hard to stop gambling. He kept looking for loopholes, ways to justify just one more bet, one more tournament, one more fantasy league. He tried. He kept showing up to mid-stakes tournaments, kept entering events where the paydays weren't flashy, but at least they were something. For most pros, these were warm-ups. For Lindgren, they were survival. No more luxury suites, no more high-stakes side games. Just a man, older now, worn down by years of emotional whiplash, trying to pick up the pieces of a life shattered by his own decisions. And yet, even in that lower state, Lindgren still hadn't walked away. But if you think poker players only destroy themselves, think again. Some of them go to war with each other. There's another story you need to hear about one of the most heated rivalries in poker history. 2 legends, 2 egos, and a whole lot of bad blood.